This is a 2,000-year-old piece of papyrus. It's not a bill of sale for bread or wine. It's a receipt for your life. The popular image of the first Christians is a 300-year age of martyrs, a heroic people, constantly hunted, hiding in catacombs. But the real story isn't one long chase. It's a story of rumor, social panic, and terrifying imperial commands that could suddenly turn your neighbor into your accuser. To understand why the world's most powerful empire grew to fear this new faith, we have to start not with a law, but with a fire. In 64 AD, a fire devastated Rome. The deeply unpopular Emperor Nero was blamed, and he desperately needed a scapegoat. He chose the Christians. To most Romans, they were a bizarre cult. They avoided public festivals, refused to visit the temples, and were shrouded in rumor. Whispers spread that they were cannibals for misunderstanding the Eucharist, that they were incestuous for calling each other brother and sister. Nero made their punishment a gruesome public spectacle. The historian Tacitus tells us some were crucified. Others were covered in animal skins and torn apart by dogs. The most horrific were set ablaze as human torches to illuminate his gardens at night. In our view, this wasn't about religious doctrine. It was political theater, using a marginalized group to shore up a failing emperor's power. It's a pattern we see again and again. But here's the twist. This persecution was local, confined to Rome. For nearly 200 years after, there was no empire-wide manhunt. During that time, the greatest danger often wasn't the emperor. It was your neighbors, accusing you of atheism, not for believing in no God, but for refusing to worship theirs. In a world that ran on divine favor, that made you a public menace, responsible for any disaster that might strike. Romans tolerated Jewish monotheism, respecting it as an ancient tradition. But Christianity was new, and to them, it looked like a dangerous, antisocial superstition. We have a first-hand account of this pressure from 203 AD. A 22-year-old noblewoman, Vibia Perpetua, kept a diary in her prison cell in Carthage. She describes her own father, weeping, begging her to have pity on his gray head, on her mother, on her infant son. Just say the words, renounce her faith, and come home. She refused. She and her pregnant slave, Felicity, who gave birth just days before, faced the wild beasts in the arena together. Then, in 250 AD, everything changed. Emperor Decius, facing invasions and a crisis of unity, decided to demand a single act of loyalty from everyone. His edict didn't outlaw Christianity. It simply commanded every single citizen, man, woman, and child, to perform a public sacrifice to the Roman gods. And everyone who complied received that receipt we showed you, the libellus, proof of loyalty. Archaeologists have found them, preserved for millennia in the desert sand. This forced an impossible choice. Do you die for your faith, publicly betray it, or find a third way and bribe an official for a forged certificate, saving your life, but sacrificing your integrity? After this terror, amazingly, came a period of tolerance known as the Little Peace of the Church, lasting nearly 40 years. It was the calm before the final storm. In 303 AD, Emperor Diocletian launched the Great Persecution, the most systematic attempt to wipe out the Christian faith for good. Edicts ordered churches destroyed, scriptures burned, clergy arrested. This was the real-life horror that would inspire a century of Hollywood epics about martyrs in the arena. But even this failed. The persecution was officially ended by the Edict of Serdica in 311. 2 years later, the Edict of Milan, co-issued by Emperor Constantine, granted Christianity full legal tolerance. So, was it a 300-year hunt? No. The truth is scarier. It was unpredictable. Long periods of quiet, could be shattered in an instant by a neighbor's accusation or an emperor's sudden demand for proof of your loyalty. The real story isn't just about the famous martyrs. It's about the millions of ordinary people who had to navigate these impossible choices year after year just to survive. The myth of the Age of Martyrs gives us a simple story of good versus evil. The reality is a much more human story of fear, compromise, and belief in the face of unpredictable power. The terror wasn't that the empire was always hunting you, but that it could start at any moment.